You do not do cruise control upstream. When you want to accomplish something that has never been, there's that chance that you are going to go against resistance. And so you need the mental toughness to do that. I love deadlines. I love deadlines because they kind of inspire me to behave differently in the present. So when I think about the end of the month, I think about the beginning of a new month, a new quarter, and the end of the year. All of those times, I use them to my advantage, right? Like the behavior of humans is to do more, show up more strategically the closer they are to a deadline. So when you look at the statistics, you'll find that the most productive day for most people is the day before they go on vacation. Why? They have a deadline. Right? There's a deadline there. Someone joked about it. What's the, fastest way to, declutter and clean your house in no time? It's like, there's guests coming over. So deadlines are very powerful. I don't fight them. I don't wonder why we behave like that. I just use it to my advantage. When I think about a new quarter, I think about it as a brand new slate. I think about it as a time with a deadline, like a 90-day block. I actually love 90-day blocks. I prefer them over year-long blocks. The problem with year-long blocks is you're like, oh yeah, I have all the time in the world to do this. When you know it's 90 days, it kind of puts your deadline much closer, and so you behave more strategically. So actually, the EntreMD Business School, we celebrate a new quarter as our new year. So in the EntreMD Business School, we have 4 years in one. Every quarter is a new year. So at the time of this recording, we're almost coming up on Q2 of 2026. And so what's going to happen is people are going to be like, happy EBS New Year and stuff like that. That's kind of the way that works. But anyway, that's the way we look at it. Okay. And so I sat down to reflect on what I am going to do to set myself up so this quarter will be my best quarter. And I sat down to think about what I will do with my clients to make sure that it's their best quarter. And I figured I would come share some of that with you. So this is like the plan to make this new quarter, our best quarter yet. All right. And so there are 4 main areas I'm going to work on. Let's take that one after the other. And so the first one is going to be my mindset. So when I was younger as an entrepreneur, I didn't pay a lot of attention to mindset. I thought that was soft work. I thought it was things that didn't matter. I thought it was for people who didn't want to be productive and do the work. This is what, my early days as an entrepreneur. And when I look at it in retrospect, I'm like, no, actually you did that because you had privilege. So I did a lot of, like through what I did with my faith, I did a lot of meditation. There's so many things I did that gave me quite a bit of mental toughness. And so I was thinking people didn't need that, but I was working so hard on it, I didn't even know. But this, like hindsight is 2020. It took me years to figure that out. But anyway, I kind of didn't have too much respect for it. Now, the bigger my business grew, the more respect I had for it, because the truth of the matter is, no matter how great your strategy is, if you have an inferior mindset, and what I mean by inferior mindset is it's a mindset that's not at par with your strategy or par with your goal, it will cripple you and you will not be able to pull it off, right? And it's interesting, we have a tier of the EntreMD Business School called Scale. This is for doctors who are, at or dangerously close to 1 million, who are still interested in hyper growth. I want to build companies they can exit from. In that tier of the EntreMD Business School, so many of the wins are mindset wins. So many of the transformations are mindset. And when you ask them about their secrets, yes, of course there's strategy, of course there's all of that. But a lot of those quantum leaps are triggered by quantum leaps in the mindset, right? And then everything else follows. So I say all of that to say, you really want to lean into this piece, right? So self-doubt is crippling. That feeling of overwhelm, and a lot of times is not just what's happening to us externally, it's what's happening to us in our mind, our perception of it, right? The overwhelm, the frustration, what people call imposter syndrome, like these are all things that are in the mind that stop us. And they're not things we can sweep under the carpet. They're not things we can wish away. It doesn't matter how big your business grows, you won't outgrow it like at all. And so these are things that need to be addressed. So that's on one side, we have the negative stuff that needs to be addressed. But then on the other side, we then have this thing of, a lot of times when we work through the mindset stuff, we come to neutral. We go from negative to neutral. We don't go to positive. So we're just like, okay, I don't think these things, right? Or I think them less, or I don't let them control me. But then what of the piece of having a mind that is filled and saturated with the vision of where you're going? is filled and saturated with the identity, your new identity, your upgraded identity that you need to go where you need to go. Your mind being saturated with how you now show up, the things you now do, the things you no longer do, and all of that. It takes work to do that. And so this is something that I work on every day. This is something I inspire my clients to work on every single day. But this is something to pay attention to. So you want to pay attention to, what are the things that get me bent out of shape? What are the things that trigger analysis paralysis for me? What are the things that make me feel, okay, this is not working, or any of those things? We have to find them and address them. And at the same time, like, how can I fill my mind with the picture of where I'm going, right? So when we don't have our mind filled with a picture of where we're going, it's kind of like a GPS that is functional, but it doesn't have an address. And so you didn't put in the address. So it's there. It can't calculate the route. It can't give you superior strategy. It can't recalculate when you miss a turn. It can't do anything. The starting point is that vision needs to be there, right? And so I will spend a lot of time working on that and working on the vision. We do different things. We do the vision board and all of that stuff. But in the EntreMD Business School, we do have a signature framework for it. We call Reinvention by Imagination. And it's something that we use. It's a tool that we use every day to put ourselves in a position where our minds are overwhelmed with who we want to become, with the life we want to create, with the kind of business we want to have, and so that we can have the mental toughness to navigate the inevitable challenges of business and the mental toughness to go against resistance to create the business and life we want. You do not do cruise control upstream. That's not the way that works. Right? So when you want to accomplish something that has never been, chances are, almost with 100% certainty, there's that chance that you are going to go against resistance, right? And so you need the mental toughness to do that. So that's the first thing that I'm going to work on. And that's something that I want to invite you to do, right? So if you were at the open house that we did recently for the EntreMD Business School, and if you weren't, you can always send us a DM and just say, I want the replay to the open house, and we'll send it to you. But it was so powerful because Dr. Moyers was one of the doctors who spoke on that day, one of our guests. And she talked about joining the EntreMD Business School because she realized the difference between where she was and where she wanted to be was her. And that is such a powerful revelation. Like, when you realize that it's not about the external circumstances, it's not about the past, it's not about any of those things. It's about, can I change and evolve to become the kind of person who creates what I want to create, right? So she was like, I know it's me. And so she said, I joined the business school for me, for me to change, for me to upgrade my leadership, for me to show up as a CEO and all of those things. And she came in and she did the work, and she grew 41% last year. And this year is already 57% ahead year over year. I want you to just think about that. Well, what was the starting point? It was that identity upgrade. It's the mindset work. It's all of that, right? That was the initial thing. And when we did a survey of the doctors in the EntreMD Business School, we had that 88% of them, 88% reported feeling more confident as the CEO of their businesses, right? That is the confidence you need to lead your team, the confidence you need to raise your prices, the confidence you need to go against resistance, the confidence you need, right? This stuff works, really, really works. Okay. So that's the first thing, mindset. Whatever you do not ignore that. We have a lot of podcast episodes on that. And for those of you who are in the EntreMD Business School or who are joining the EntreMD Business School, we have a whole framework and tools and all of that for you. Okay, so that's the first one. The second thing that I'm going to work on, and I'm having my clients work on, and I'm inviting you to work on, is time mastery. When we talk to doctors about taking their businesses to the next level or joining the EntreMD Business School or all of that, what comes up a lot of times is, what if I don't have the time? Not what if, I don't have the time to work on this. So for instance, the EntreMD Business School, people will tell us the reason why they're waiting on it is because they don't think they'll have the time to do the work. And my answer is always, if you feel like you don't have time to do the work, You don't wait, because waiting is not something that will make you have more time. You come in because we show you have to, how to have more time. Like that's one of the first things that we'll teach you, right? And so it's like, I don't have time to work on the business. Some people are afraid of growing their businesses because they're like, if I grow my business, then I'm not going to have time for my family. I'm not going to have time for my health. I'm not going to be able to sleep well. And so they literally stall their businesses because they think it will destroy their lives if it grows, right? And so you see things about, burnout and all of that. So hear me when I say this, please, pretty please, with 17 cherries on top. We have to let's think about this practically. Okay. There are people like I run 5 companies. You may run 1 company, 2 companies, 3 companies. You may be about to start a company. And there are also people who run 300 companies. Guess what we all have in common? We all have 24 hours a day. We all have 24 hours a day. Now, somebody may be tempted to say, well, it's easy for them because, and I want to invite you to throw that away. Throw that away. Everybody has advantages. Everybody has disadvantages and all of those things. And we have this one precious life. Like, my intent is to build the best possible business and life I can build. Like, I'm not going to allow any because this stop me from doing it, right? Okay. So there are people running 300 companies and they have 24 hours. I'm running 5. I have 24 hours. So I have come to the conclusion that there's no such thing as not having time, because everybody has time. Everybody has 24 hours. The question is more so, who is using the time? Who is using the time? So somebody can use the same 24-hour block and they effectively lead 300 companies. Someone has the same 24-hour block and cannot effectively lead one. I had to come to the conclusion that what this means is I need to become great at managing my time. I need to become great at mastering the use of time, because if I can do that, I can get so much more done in the same amount of time. Okay. Okay. So, and I want to tell you a few stories, and I'll give you some stats. So Dr. Moyers, I just referred to her earlier. She talked about growing her business by 41% last year, and she took 7 weeks off. I want you to think about that. She took 7 weeks off and her business grew by 41%. Okay. When she said that, and she talked about how now she's a better parent, her marriage is better. She's wanted to remodel their bathrooms for the last 6 years. And now she's doing that. And then Dr. Erica Bove in the comments, she is a fertility coach. She's amazing. REI Doc fertility coach. And she said that my children have told me that I'm now more present. She's like, and she said this early on a different episode, that she hasn't needed to miss their games. She hasn't needed to miss any of the important days and things like that. And she did this while growing her business. Like, her business is actively growing. So you have to come to the conclusion that is about mastery of time, not about not having enough time. So I want to invite you to remove that sentence from your vocabulary, like completely, like, I don't have time. There's no such thing. You do. You're alive. Everyone who's alive has time. They have 24 hours every day for as long as they live, right? Okay. So I am going to up my mastery of time, right? And of course, there are many things that go into that, including understanding the actual targets, the worthy goals you're chasing now, looking at the cleanest pathway to pulling it off, the most strategic actions, right? And then before delegation and automation and elimination and all of those other things. But if I can understand this concept even more and leverage it even more, this next quarter will be a quarter where I get a lot more accomplished by doing a lot less. That's the plan. The plan is I grow bigger, but I have more time. I have more impact and I have more time. Okay. Okay. So she said that. So let me give you some stats here. And this is from the doctors who are in the EntreMD Business School. This is our 2025 data. Okay. 85% of the doctors in the EntreMD Business School took more than 2 weeks off. Okay. 85% took more than 2 weeks off. Now, let's break this down. 32% took 4 to 6 weeks off. Think about that. Think of a community where 32% took 4 to 6 weeks off. Okay. 13% took 2 months off. 9% took 3 months off. And it is so interesting because when you study the data, because we got, is all based on, we also got data on when they joined the school, right? And how much revenue they created and all that. the people who are making the most revenue are also the people taking the most time off. Like, how amazing is that? They're also the people taking the most time. So can you build a business where you're growing and you're having more impacts, more financial freedom and all of that stuff, and you're having more time freedom? Yes, 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 yes. So what am I going to work on this quarter? I'm going to work on that. Okay. So I'm going to work on upgrading my identity even more so. So I'm the kind of person who pulls off the goals that I have for this year and beyond. And then I'm going to work on upgrading my time mastery. So I'm getting a lot more done. My life is having a lot more impact. My life is changing a lot more lives, but I have more of my time back. Okay. So that's what I'm working on. And another fun statistic here is that 71% reported an improvements in their family and personal life. 71%. These are some crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. Okay. Okay. So we have signature frameworks. Again, we have tools to teach you how to manage your time. Okay. To teach you how to manage your time. But this is something that you want to engage in so the next quarter is better. Okay. The third thing that I'm going to work on is upgrading my capacity to generate revenue on demand. Now, I'm going to start with a fun thing, right? Okay. So, Dr. Moyers, and I've said her name so many times. Actually, you guys need to find her, Dr. Carolyn Moyers, on Facebook and Instagram, and just tell her your story helped me. Okay. Tell her I listened to the EntreMD podcast. Your story helped me. All right. So, Dr. Moyers told this story when she was at the open house. And she said, she had this locum job. She had put in her notice, but she had this locum job that she was doing. And they just sent out a notice that day, the day of the open house. They sent out a notice that day saying that they were shutting down their OB department in the hospital. They were shutting it down. And she said all the others were spiraling out of control. Like, what are we going to do? And all of those kind of things. And she was, somebody walked up to her and said, Dr. Morris, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. I know how to make money. This is not a problem. I want to think about this level of confidence. She's like, I know how to make money. Because she's like, I have a business. I know how to make money. I know how to create money. I know how to make up for whatever money I was getting from here. I know how to make money. And it is so fun because hearing her say that, the open house, as a whole was so good for me because it gave voice. It was me listening to doctors do things that I dreamt of when I started the EntreMD Business School. Because this is what I said. We understand how to run a PALS algorithm. We understand how to run an ACLS algorithm. Like, these are algorithms. If the child does this, do this. If the child does this, do this, right? It's as simple as that. I was like, what if we understood how to create money in the same way? We understood the algorithm, and we have an algorithm for it. We call it the revenue generation framework. We have an algorithm for it. We train the doctors on, right? But we have to understand how to create money. This cannot be a mystery. It cannot be a mystery. So if you set a goal, this is how much I want to make, you need to know how to make it. You need to know the algorithm. You need to put reps in the algorithm. You need to go after it. And you're like, I know what to do. I know what to do. So that was so fun to hear her say. She's like, I know how to create revenue. Why is this important? The number one the reason businesses go out of business, physician-owned businesses go out of business, is not because the physicians don't know how to take care of patients. It's because they don't know how to take care of their business. And one of the number one ways you take care of your business is you get it profitable. You get it creating revenue. Like, revenue has to come. Nothing works when the revenue doesn't come in, right? That's the top. Everything flows up from there, right? So if you can understand that piece, you have a level of sustainability in your business that will shock you. Okay, so let me show you some stats here because this is so fun. We were looking at 2025 data for the doctors in the EntreMD Business School. 35% of them crossed the $500,000 mark. So these are people who had not crossed 500,000 before. They crossed the $500,000 mark. 21% of them crossed the 7-figure mark. What? This stat made me so happy. Okay. So 35% of them crossed the $500,000 mark. 21% crossed the 7-figure mark. And then 10% of them crossed the multiple 7-figure mark. This made Dr. Una very happy. Yes, I talked about myself in third person, but this made me so happy. What does this tell me? It tells me that they understand the algorithm and they're using the algorithm and they're changing their revenue. And let me tell you something that was shocking about this as well, is when we looked at the data, 43% of the doctors joined the EntreMD Business School pre-revenue. They either did not have a business, many of them did not have businesses, they were still employed, or they had a business, but they joined us when their business was not making money. I want you to think about this. 43% of them were pre-revenue, and yet we have 35% crossing 500,000, 21% crossing seven figures, and 10% crossing multiple seven figures. This is so fun. So fun. Okay. And, you know, Dr. Ishman tells this story, right? On the same open house. And she's talking about how, she had her coaching business, as a side business, and she really just needed it to create enough revenue to pay for her own coaching and for her team, right? So 40,000 was kind of what, it's like 40,000, that's great. Okay. Now this same doctor, okay, who's like $40,000, she did $40,000. She then went on to do $100,000 in 10 months or $120,000 in 10 months. And then she had this 2-month period where she started engaging this algorithm I'm talking about and did some things, changed her prices, started selling like a boss. She actually said these words: I didn't know that I liked selling. I love selling. Right? She's like, I didn't know, but now she's learned it and she loves it. Okay. She did $150,000 in 2 months. I want you to think about the year before, 40,000. She learns this stuff. She does $150,000 in 2 months. So she ended the year like $250,000 from $40,000 the year before. Do the math. That's more than 6x. Why? She understands how to create revenue on demand. Okay. So what am I doing? What am I inviting you to do? Upgrade your capacity to create revenue on demand. Okay. Okay. All right. So fun. So we've talked about the mindset work. We've talked about the time mastery. We've talked about upgrading your capacity to generate revenue on demand. And the fourth one, and this is something that I've paid attention to for a long time. It's a huge part of why the EntreMD Business School is structured the way it's structured. And that is engage in a commonwealth. Okay. And I'll explain what I mean. That's a little coded, but I'll explain what I mean by that. There is an old proverb that says, walk with the wise and become wise, right? You would have heard people say that if they look at the 5 people closest to you, they can tell what your future would look like because it would look like the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Your life is the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Okay. And so a lot of times when I was a younger person, I thought about this from the angle of, okay, so be careful who you hang around, like then avoid the negative. But avoiding the negative just brings you to neutral, right? Like what if we then use that concept as a tool to force our lives and our businesses to move forward, right? So if I am in an environment where people stretch me, an environment where we talk about 7 figures and 8 figures like is just another Tuesday, an environment where I watch people hire team members I've only dreamt of, an environment where I watch people navigate challenges like bosses. Like if I put myself in that environment, is walk with the wise and become wise. I become like them. Walk with the people who have the mental toughness, who know how to generate revenue on demand, who are masters at managing their time, and all of those things. Guess what? I become like them, right? And so one of the things I'm doing is auditing my circle again, auditing the communities I find myself in, and I'm upgrading that because I know if I upgrade that, I get upgraded. This is almost by default. So let me give you an example. I talked about Dr. Ishman earlier, and she talked about this. Dr. Ishman had a business. Her goal for her business was, I want to make 40,000 so I can pay for my coaching and pay for the team that I have. Like I'm just doing my coaching business for that. And then she comes to a revenue boost challenge. I did a number of those last year. And in that, she was like, why am I capping myself at 40? I could do more. I want you to pay attention to this. Is what she said. And then she made $20,000 as a result of that challenge. And so that is a level of upgrading by a commonwealth, right? She came into a community, it's a different conversation. She's like, huh. She comes to another revenue challenge. She does it again. She makes another 20. And she's like, huh, this is interesting. I've already made 40 grand. I haven't even paid this woman. I haven't met her. I don't, And so she does this. And that is a level. Okay. But now she comes into the EntreMD Business School. Okay. And after being in the school, she's not been in the school for up to a year. And this is what she says. These are her words. I may paraphrase a little, but this was a message she was passing along. She said, I'm no longer doing a side business. This used to be my hobby. This is no longer a hobby. I am now building an academic faculty development organization. Her target now is $5 million. Like that's where she wants to take the company to. Her target for this year, after doing $250,000 last year, her target for this year is to do $1 million in revenue. And it's not a wish. Notice I didn't call it a wish. It's a target. Like she's actively going after it. And I believe she's going to pull it off. So she's actively going after that and then puts her in a position where she can let go of her day job. And she says this, which is true. She says, and it's not really about the money. Now, of course, we're always going to talk about money, right? But the bigger thing is the impact. She's like, the impact I can have. She says, I have a real estate thing that supports Section 8 housing for women. And she's like, imagine how much more I can do when I get this all figured out, right? And so I always think about things, not just in the value, but also the opportunity cost. So here's Dr. Stacey Ishman. And she's like, I had a side business and a hobby, and she was satisfied doing the 40,000. And now she's a person building $1 million organization. She's ultimately going to take it to 5 million. She's probably going to exit in a way that's just going to make me so happy, right? Like happy for her. She's going to let go of her day job so she can focus on this full time. She's going to have so much more impact. And that is all because she was in an environment. Environment is powerful. It's powerful. And so we can allow the environment happen to us, or we can curate the environment. I want to invite you to curate your environment, right? So as we go into the quarter, you're not just allowing an environment. I'm talking about relationships. You don't just let your relationships happen to you. You ask yourself, what rooms do I need to be in? What people do I need to have in my world so that the dreams I've had that are small or could be much bigger, the big opportunities that I can see them, right? Because was this always available for Dr. Ishmael? Yes, but she couldn't see them. Now she sees them and now she's literally unstoppable. I cannot wait to see what she does. Dr. Jennifer Ozo also came on this and she was talking about it and she said, these are her words. Okay, so I'm looking down because I want to say them the way she said. She's like, oh my goodness, the gift of accountability I get. Okay, so she's talking about her classmates. She said, everyone has so much faith in you that you feel very weird not having faith in yourself. And many doctors have said this. I think Dr. Rachel Rubin said this. She said, Dr. Una, you've succeeded in doing something. And it's not just me, it's also her classmates at EBS and all that. She said, you have succeeded in getting me to do something that nobody has been able to get me to do, which is to believe in myself, right? To believe in myself. So again, it's about this positive peer pressure. It's about being in the right rooms, being in the right containers, having the right relationships and all of that. So I'm going to do many things in the next quarter, but let me tell you what my focus will be. I'm upgrading my mindset. By doing that, I'm upgrading my identity. And by that, everything changes. Okay. I'm upgrading my time mastery so I can get even more done in a lot less time. I am upgrading my capacity to generate revenue on demand. Okay. Because this is the stuff business is made of. The number one reason businesses are out of business is cash flow problems. It's not that they're not able to take care of their people, especially physician-owned businesses. And the fourth thing is I'm upgrading, right? And sometimes I'm upgrading my commonwealth. Sometimes you're upgrading your commonwealth means leaning into it. Like you have it, but you don't use it. You don't engage with it. You don't show up in the community. You don't ask questions. You don't share your trials so people can help you, or share your trials so people can celebrate with you. You don't build a brand within the community so nobody knows you, so nobody can create opportunities for you. So sometimes it's leaning in to the community you do have, right? Okay. So these are the things that I'm going to work on. And I want you to think for a second, if you worked on them, what would happen to your business? Okay. What will happen to your business if you spend the next 90 days upgrading your mindset, right? Upgrading your time mastery, upgrading your ability to create revenue on demand, and upgrading your commonwealth. I want you to think about it because there's some things that are like literally as guaranteed as they can get. You cannot do these four things and remain the same. You cannot do these four things and your business will remain the same. You just cannot. Right. So I want to invite you to do it. And if you in the EntreMD Business School, if you can come join us, we have already curated this for you. This is a thing that is already happening. Okay. Already happening. And if you're listening to this, like when it just went live or so, we are now enrolling for the April cohort of the EntreMD Business School. And for the first time, because I am on a mission to help doctors get bigger results, get results faster, get results with more ease. Like I'm on a mission. My team and I are on a mission. And so for the first time, we're hosting what we call the EBS Fast Track Experience. Okay. This is for the people coming in the April cohort. And what it is you are going to gain as much mastery of these things as you can in a 30-day block. In a 30-day block, our signature framework for your mindset work, you're going to get that. Our signature framework for time mastery, you'll get that. This is not guesswork. You have algorithms for this. Our signature framework for creating revenue on demand, you'll get that. You'll get inducted, if you will, into the EBS Commonwealth. And you're also going to get a training on how to create a custom roadmap, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So you're like, okay, this is the revenue goal I'm chasing down. This is the way I'm going to accomplish. You map it out. These are the challenges I anticipate. This is how I'll handle it, like all of that. So you're going to get the trainings for them. And then you're going to have 3 live sessions with the team and we're going to help you work through them. And so this is the intent, that in that 30-day period, you are going to make more progress than you have in the last 6 to 12 months in your business. That is the intent. Okay. So you're going to walk out. You would have bought back 3 to 10 hours of your time every single week. 3 to 10 hours. I want you to think, so if it's 10 hours over the course of a year, that's 520 hours you bought back. That's what's going to happen to you. You're going to develop a version of the mental toughness that you need to move forward aggressively in your business. You are going to practice creating revenue on demand, and you are going to create revenue, right? You're going to be in the commonwealth, so everything starts changing for you, and you're going to have a clean roadmap like a yellow brick road. So you hit the ground running and you're bringing about transformation. So a lot of times people say, oh, I've been following Dr. Una for 2 years. The podcast has helped me so much and all that. I know the business school, it creates so many changes for people, but I don't have the time. So the beautiful thing about saying I don't have the time is in your first 30 days, you will have your own custom calendar so that way you would have bought back 3 to 10 hours. You have time. You have time. Some people are like, I don't know if this is the right time. We have created something that literally makes this the right time for you. Okay. Because there's no such thing as the right time, right? You make the decision, right? But we will support you because we are going all in to make sure that this is the best experience for you. Okay. You might say, I don't know if it will work for me. Again, we put a 30-day block so that in 30 days, you know that this is working for you. And if you listen to all the things that I talked about, every one of these things work. It works. These all work, right? Okay. And then sometimes, other people will say, I don't know about the investment. Okay. But the thing is this, and again, I'll use Dr. Ishman's story. Okay. The thing about the investment is that the investment is not the problem. Is there the possibility of an ROI? Is there a track to an ROI? And for the EntreMD Business School, the answer is yes. You become different. You buy back your time. You learn how to create revenue. You learn how to create a team. The ROI is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We are talking, again, let me read this, okay? We had 35% of the people cross $500,000 in revenue. 21% cross 7 figures. 10% cross multiple 7 figures. That's nuts. And these people are your classmates. Like, if all you did was you paid the entire investment just to be in the room, I promise you it would be worth it, right? And one of the trainings in our live sessions is how to get an ROI in your investment, because this is the deal. I am not primarily running the EntreMD Business School because I need to pay my bills. Like, I'm not running it to pay my bills. I have a private practice. Like, I'm not, like, this is not a bill thing. This is about making seven figures the new floor for physicians. This is about rewriting the narrative for physicians. This is about making it a norm that doctors have their dream business and their dream life. This is about your dream and your life. And on this side of eternity, making that your reality. That's what this is about. So it doesn't help me in any way for you to come into the EntreMD Business School and not get an ROI. It helps me in no way at all, because the real mission is to rewrite the narrative and do it so big and so loud that the whole physician community has to change. So if you're thinking the investment, you want an ROI, I want an ROI for you. You come in committed to your goals. I come in committed to supporting you and helping you win. That is called a match made in heaven, and it almost literally guarantees your ROI. Okay? Okay. So what do I want you to do? EntreMD.com/call. I want you to go book a call with my team, and they'll walk you through the details so you can come join us for the April cohort of the EntreMD Business School. Now, could you join anytime? Of course, you could join anytime. But we are doing this because we want to help you get results even faster. And by the time you've been in the school for 30 days, it will seem like you've been in the school for a year to others. Okay? All right. So rooting for you, go book that call. And I want you to think about what happens on the other side. On the other side of all of this, maybe you have a story like Dr. Moyer's. Your revenue grows, you have more time, your marriage is better, your kids are better, you're confident as a leader. Now you're crying, but not tears of sadness, but tears of joy, right? Because she boohoo cried on there. And I was like, this is just beautiful, right? Because it's tears of joy. Or maybe you'll be like Dr. Ishman and you had something and you had goals for it, kind of, and all of those things. But now your vision is expanded and your results have expanded and the impact you have expands. Or maybe you'll be like Dr. Shanta Shepherd, who was like, man, I'm going to start this practice. Don't start this practice. She's a urologist. She started her own private practice. She's crushing it. I cannot wait to bring her on to the 7-figure series to interview her as well, so you can hear her entire story. Maybe you're going to be like Dr. Uzo. And, she's like, started in a whole lot of debt, was not confident, was not committed to what I was trying to do, letting people walk all over me, couldn't lead my team. And she's made that transition to total boss. Her schedule is full. She's in Scotland as I record this on vacation, and all of this, like, there's so many variations. Like, why would we say no? Why wouldn't we say yes? Like, I am so rooting for you, so rooting for you. So you come join us, and so that I get to interview you and tell your story too of how you're now living your dream business and your dream life. Rooting for you. Go book your call on EntreMD.com/call. Looking forward to welcoming you in the April cohort. Man, we'll create some magic together.